Imagine walking past a stranger and instantly making a snap judgment, only to later discover how completely wrong you were. How often do we assume things about others based solely on their appearance, without ever knowing their true story? Today's story will challenge those assumptions and show how a single moment of kindness can ripple through countless lives in ways we never expect. Welcome to our channel, where we explore the power of empathy, compassion, and life-changing encounters. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and tap the notification bell so you never miss an inspiring story. Stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you might just see people, and perhaps even yourself, in a whole new light. It all began on a vibrant afternoon in the heart of Rivercrest Mall, known throughout the city for its gleaming marble floors and extravagant designer boutiques. Shoppers dressed in the finest suits, dresses, and shoes glided past each other, exuding confidence and, at times, a certain haughtiness that comes with wealth. Crystal chandeliers suspended from the high ceilings reflected a soft glow onto glass storefronts, each displaying the latest in haute couture. In the midst of this dazzling chaos, a group of teenagers lounged against a pillar near one of the most upscale clothing stores in the mall, Sterling Company. Among these teens was Leon, a wealthy and somewhat arrogant young man who had grown used to being the center of attention. Tall and stylish, he wore designer sneakers and a sleek jacket with a flashy logo, making sure everyone could see the brand and the price tag he was willing to flaunt. Leon had developed a habit of mocking anyone who he felt didn't live up to his standards of luxury. So when a quiet, unassuming figure slipped into the store wearing a simple hoodie and worn-out jeans, Leon's interest was immediately piqued. His brows rose, and a smirk flickered across his lips. He turned to his friends, who were huddled nearby, checking their phones and gossiping, and jerked a thumb in the direction of the newcomer. "Check that out," Leon said, voice dripping with disdain. "What's a guy like that doing in Sterling Company? Maybe he's lost. Probably thinks there's a discount section hidden somewhere." His friends snickered on cue, their laughter cutting through the busy hum of the mall walkway. Their mocking was loud enough that anyone standing within a few feet could hear them. Little did Leon know that the stranger he scoffed at was none other than Keanu Reeves, one of the most admired celebrities around, celebrated not just for his iconic roles, but for his humility, kindness, and the respect he shows to everyone he meets. Yet in that moment, Keanu looked so unassuming that most people simply glanced past him, unaware of who he was. Inside Sterling Company, the polished floors glistened under bright spotlights. Rows of suits, ties, and shirts in immaculate condition stretched from wall to wall, each piece a testament to fine craftsmanship. At the entrance, a subtle fragrance of leather from luxury shoes mingled with the faint scent of cologne drifting from passing customers. The store had a hushed elegance, where voices naturally lowered to a polite murmur. Leon and his friends, however, were anything but polite. With an air of exaggerated confidence, Leon sauntered in after Keanu, the soles of his expensive sneakers squeaking conspicuously against the floor. A store clerk, Ava, observed them from behind a polished mahogany counter. She noticed the tension, Leon's mocking grin, Keanu's calm demeanor, and felt a hint of concern rise within her. "Hey, buddy," Leon called, his voice mocking as he addressed Keanu. "You lost or something? This is the high-end section, in case you didn't notice. The thrift store is a few blocks down. Maybe that's more your speed." A hush fell within earshot of their conversation. A few other shoppers subtly edged closer, pretending to browse while clearly intrigued by the unfolding drama. Keanu paused by a rack of perfectly tailored charcoal suits, running his hand gently over the fabric. He looked up slowly, meeting Leon's gaze with remarkable calm. "I'm exactly where I need to be," Keanu said simply, his voice measured and free of malice. Leon snorted. "Oh, really?" he countered, gesturing grandly at a row of suits. "These cost more than your entire wardrobe, old man. You serious about buying one? Or did you just come in here to see how the other half lives?" In the background, Ava hovered, uncertain whether to intervene. She was well aware that Sterling Company prided itself on excellent customer service, but the tension made her uneasy. Still, there was something about this quiet man that held her attention. His composure under insult seemed almost supernatural, like he was a monk in the middle of a storm. "Can I help you, sir?" Ava ventured cautiously, directing her question toward Keanu. "Yes, please," Keanu answered with a small nod. "I'd like to try on this suit. Something classic and well-fitted." Leon's friends stifled laughter. One of them muttered, "Classic, all right. Too bad he probably won't be able to afford the pants, let alone the whole ensemble." Ignoring their snickers, Ava gestured for Keanu to follow her to a set of plush dressing rooms at the back. Before Keanu could disappear into one of them, Leon made another loud remark, "Hey, Ava. Better check his pockets before he leaves. You never know if someone dressed like that might stuff something under his jacket." His words echoed in the store, sharp and demeaning. Ava felt her cheeks flush with a mix of embarrassment and anger, but she bit her tongue and carried on, showing Keanu to a fitting room. As she handed the suit to him, she offered a polite smile, doing her best to maintain the professionalism her employer expected. Deep down, though, she wished Leon would learn a lesson in empathy, and soon. Minutes later, Keanu emerged, wearing the charcoal suit as if it had been tailored to his very frame. The jacket's clean lines perfectly complemented his relaxed posture, and the pants draped elegantly over his shoes. Even Leon, who was prepared to mock him, found his words faltering. Keanu turned to Ava. "This feels perfect," he noted, adjusting the lapels. "I'll take it." Silence. It was as if the entire store collectively held its breath. Leon was the first to break the quiet with a short, uneasy laugh. "You'll take it," he repeated incredulously, crossing his arms. "Sure you will. Let's see if you can pay for it." Ava approached the register, scanning the suit's price tag. The beep of the machine felt loud in the hush that had settled over the store. "That will be $15,000, she announced, her voice polite yet tinged with worry. She half expected Keanu to balk at the cost, perhaps to mutter something about not having enough money. Leon's grin spread wider. 15 grand, he repeated, savoring each syllable. "This is going to be interesting." Without a flicker of hesitation, Keanu pulled out a sleek black credit card and handed it to Ava. She slid it through the machine. The tension in the air was almost tangible, like the moment before an orchestra's first note in a grand concert hall. "Approved." The receipt printer whirred, spitting out a thin strip of paper. Ava tore it and handed it to Keanu. "Thank you for your purchase," she managed, her voice carrying a note of awe. Leon's mouth fell open. His friend stared, unable to comprehend how the man they belittled could afford the high-end items without so much as blinking. Leon stammered, his bravado crumbling. How did you?" Keanu met his gaze with a gentle calm. "Looks can be deceiving," he said softly. He could have gloated, but he chose not to. Instead, he waved Ava over to a row of shirts and ties. "I'll take these as well." Ava, still processing, gathered the items. Leon was too stunned to speak. The beep of the register and the rustle of shopping bags were the only sounds in that moment. When Keanu turned around, he found himself face to face with the Sterling Company store owner, Mr. Whitmore, who approached from the back. Mr. Whitmore had witnessed most of the scene and appeared both nervous and excited. "It's an honor to have you here, Mr. Reeves," he said, extending a hand. "Thank you for choosing our store." Leon blinked, the realization hitting him like a thunderbolt. "Mr. Reeves," he repeated, voice cracking. "As in, Keanu Reeves?" Suddenly, everything made sense to him, the unshakable composure, the effortless kindness in Keanu's eyes. Leon felt his cheeks flush with a mixture of embarrassment and awe. His heart thudded painfully as he remembered every rude comment, every condescending remark. Keanu shook Mr. Whitmore's hand. "Thank you for the excellent service," he replied, including Ava in his grateful smile. "I appreciate your help." With his new items bagged and his purchase complete, Keanu began to leave. At the doorway, he paused, turning back to Leon for one last, meaningful look. "I hope you learned something today," he said. Then, without fanfare, he stepped out into the bustling hallway of the mall. The store felt suddenly empty in Keanu's absence. Leon stood rooted to the spot, unable to summon a single clever remark. Ava shot him a pointed look, her earlier discomfort replaced by a certain vindication. Leon's friends fidgeted behind him, casting sideways glances. They had delighted in his arrogance moments before, but now a tangible awkwardness spread among them. One finally ventured, "Dude, that was Keanu Reeves. You really messed this up." Leon swallowed. His throat felt thick, and for once he didn't have a witty comeback. He was used to being in control, to having the upper hand. Yet nothing could have prepared him for the feeling that now twisted in his chest: shame. Ava approached him, her voice quiet but firm. "Why do you do that?" she asked. "Treat people like they matter less than you." Leon struggled for words, only to come up short. He'd never had to explain his behavior before. He realized, to his horror, that he might not even have a good reason. She sighed. "You never know who someone is, or what they might be going through, just by looking at them." Leon nodded, lips pursed. His arrogance melted away, leaving behind an uncomfortable vulnerability. He mumbled an apology to Ava, but it felt half-formed. He couldn't shake the image of Keanu Reeves, a global star with every right to flaunt wealth and fame, choosing humility instead. Meanwhile, Keanu strolled through Rivercrest Mall, the bustling crowd parting like a gentle sea around him. In the mall's central courtyard, a large fountain gleamed, its cascading waters providing a soothing backdrop to the chatter and footsteps of countless shoppers. Sitting on a nearby bench was a young mother, Laura, counting the coins in her purse. Beside her was her daughter, Mia, clutching a worn-out doll with missing yarn hair. The little girl's eyes shone with simple joy, yet the mother looked tense, as though every coin she counted meant the difference between a small treat and going without. Keanu paused, drawn to the child's hopeful expression. He approached the bench and knelt so that he was at Mia's eye level. The gentle murmur of the fountain accompanied his words. "That's a beautiful doll you have," he said softly, smiling at Mia. She clutched it tighter, a flush of pride coloring her cheeks. "Thank you," the little girl replied shyly, hiding partially behind the doll. Laura glanced up, startled to see a stranger crouching next to her child. Recognition flickered across her face. Had she just realized who he was? Maybe, but she seemed too polite or too overwhelmed to say anything. "Is there something I can help you with?" Keanu asked gently. Laura hesitated, embarrassed. "Oh, no. My daughter and I were hoping to share a small treat, and I'm checking if I have enough change. Times have been tough lately." Keanu gave a thoughtful nod, then slipped a folded bill into Laura's palm. "Please," he said. "Get your daughter something special today. And take good care of yourself, too." Her eyes grew wide. "I can't accept this," she began to protest. But the sincerity in his gaze silenced her. "Kindness," Keanu replied, rising to his feet, "is a gift we can always give, no matter how much we have." With a courteous nod, he left. Leon and his friends, having finally left Sterling Company, happened to see this exchange from a distance. They stood at the edge of the crowd, watching Keanu's humility and empathy unfold like a quiet revelation. Leon's stomach churned with guilt. This wasn't just an affluent actor, this was someone who used his wealth and fame to help strangers without expecting applause. Summoning the last of his courage, Leon hurried after Keanu, calling out in a shaky voice, Mr. Reeves." Keanu paused, turning to face him. The noise of the mall continued around them, families chattering, announcements over the intercom, the distant hum of the fountain, but in that instant, it felt as though time stood still. "Yes?" Keanu asked, his tone as calm as ever. Leon swallowed hard. In that moment, he was just a kid forced to confront the shallowness of his actions. I just wanted to say I'm sorry," he managed. His cheeks burned, but he refused to look away. "I was rude, and I judged you just because you looked, well, because I thought you looked poor. That was wrong." A flicker of empathy lit Keanu's eyes. "Apology accepted. But remember, your real apology is in how you treat people from now on." Leon nodded, feeling an odd mix of relief and humility. This was a moment he knew he would carry for the rest of his life, like a bright scar that reminded him never to underestimate the impact of his behavior. Keanu offered a small smile, then disappeared into the crowd, a modest figure despite the celebrity that clung to his name. Leon watched him go, feeling a heaviness lift from his heart. That evening, Leon's mind replayed the events of the day like scenes from a movie he couldn't pause. The more he thought about how he had acted, the more embarrassed he felt. He couldn't fathom how someone as successful and beloved as Keanu Reeves could maintain such humility and warmth. The next day, Leon returned to Sterling Company, surprising Ava. She looked up from behind the counter, eyebrows raised. "Back so soon?" she asked, trying to keep her voice neutral. Leon exhaled, stepping closer. "I wanted to apologize. For everything," he said. "I was way out of line. And I wanted to say thank you, too, for treating that man with respect, even when I didn't." Ava studied his face, gauging the sincerity in his voice. After a moment, her features softened. "We all make mistakes," she said. "What matters is how we fix them." Wordlessly, Leon slipped out his wallet and handed Ava his platinum credit card. "I want to get a store gift card. $500, he instructed. "For the next person who comes in and might need it. No questions asked." Her eyes widened. "Are you sure?" Leon nodded resolutely. "Yes. It's the least I can do." A few of his friends who had trailed along watched with equal parts confusion and admiration. Leon ignored their puzzled stares. He felt oddly liberated, as though he was finally aligning his actions with a higher standard of decency. A few minutes later, with the gift card arranged, Leon prepared to leave. As he stepped out, he spotted Laura and Mia from the day before. They were once again in the mall, the little girl happily nibbling on a small cookie while Laura carried a modest shopping bag. The sight made Leon smile, a simple moment of everyday happiness that he might not have noticed or cared about before. On an impulse, Leon approached them. "Hi," he said awkwardly. Mia clutched her doll and peered up at him curiously. Laura smiled politely. "Hello." Leon cleared his throat. "I just wanted to say you have a wonderful daughter. I'm glad you both got something nice today." Laura's expression softened. "Thank you," she replied. "It was all thanks to a kind stranger who helped us out." There was gratitude in her voice, and Leon thought he detected a hint of admiration. Leon returned her warm smile. He didn't mention Keanu or his own behavior. He simply felt grateful to witness how one small act of kindness had already brightened their day. With a nod, he turned and left, feeling lighter than he had in a long time. In just a matter of days, the story of the arrogant teen humbled by Keanu Reeves spread like wildfire across social media. Mall employees shared their accounts of that unforgettable afternoon, and fellow shoppers who had witnessed the scene added their voices, posting photos and video clips. A shot of Keanu leaving Sterling Company, shopping bags in hand, with Leon standing in stunned silence behind him, quickly became a viral sensation. The comments came flooding in from every corner of the internet. Never judge a book by its cover. Well done, Keanu. That teenager got exactly what he deserved. This made my day. Can't believe I missed seeing Keanu Reeves in person at the mall. We need more celebrities like him, humble and generous. But what truly took people by surprise were the stories of Leon's unexpected transformation that began to surface. Ava, the store clerk, shared how Leon had purchased a $500 gift card for someone in need, and others in the mall recalled seeing him help a shopper struggling with heavy bags or taking the time to offer kindness to employees he once might have ignored. The narrative shifted from mocking Leon to celebrating the way he had grown. Online conversations no longer focused on his arrogance, but on the powerful message of redemption. People marveled at the idea that anyone, even someone who seemed lost in their pride, could change for the better. It became a story not just about humbling a teen, but about the transformative power of kindness, and the hope that we all have the ability to evolve. Keanu, meanwhile, continued about his life as he always did, quietly, unobtrusively, and with consistent kindness. A few weeks after that fateful encounter, he made an unannounced visit to a local community shelter in another part of town. He volunteered to serve meals, wash dishes, and chat with the visitors who came in seeking warmth, nourishment, and empathy. On one brisk afternoon at the shelter, Keanu turned from rinsing dishes to find a familiar face behind him in line, Leon. The teen was scooping mashed potatoes onto trays for families, wearing a simple t-shirt under an apron. He looked up and froze, nearly dropping his spoon. Mr. Reeves," Leon stammered. I'm just here helping out." Keanu smiled gently. "That's wonderful," he said, handing Leon an empty tray to fill. "I see you've been keeping busy." Leon's cheeks reddened, but this time it wasn't from shame, it was from a sense of gratitude and pride. "After what happened at the mall, I realized I wanted to do more than just apologize. I wanted to do something that actually helps people." Keanu nodded, genuine warmth in his eyes. "We all have our roles to play," he replied. "And every act of kindness matters." Side by side, they served meals to each person in line, families, individuals without homes, and anyone else who needed assistance. Steam rose from the trays of food, and the aroma of warm soup filled the air, mingling with the hum of voices in a place that felt both sorrowful and hopeful at the same time. At one point, a tired-looking older man approached the serving window. Leon greeted him warmly, ladling an extra scoop of mashed potatoes onto his plate. The man's weary gaze lit up with gratitude as he recognized Keanu. However, the star quickly put a finger to his lips, signaling he preferred not to make a spectacle. When the evening rush finally slowed, Leon removed his apron and stepped outside for a breath of fresh air. Keanu followed, the crisp air energizing them both. The sky glowed with hues of purple and pink, hinting at the approaching dusk. Cars rumbled by on the nearby street, their headlights bright against the early evening gloom. Leon leaned against the shelter's brick exterior. "I never thanked you properly," he said, folding his arms. "Not just for accepting my apology, but for teaching me something I didn't know I needed to learn." Keanu waved off the praise. "You taught yourself," he corrected. "I only offered a little perspective." Looking out at the city lights, Leon fell silent for a moment. He was struck by how drastically his values had shifted in a matter of weeks. The clothes, the brands, the superficial approval of his so-called friends, none of it felt important anymore. The sense of fulfillment he got from genuinely helping people eclipsed it all. "Are you staying for the after-hours cleanup?" Keanu asked casually. Leon nodded. "Yeah, I'll be here." They shared a smile, then headed back inside, ready to wash dishes, wipe tables, and prepare the shelter for the next day's visitors. The mundane chores that once would have bored Leon now gave him a sense of grounding. Every plate he cleaned, every table he wiped, felt like a step toward atonement, toward becoming the person he wanted to be rather than the spoiled teen he had been. What started as just another ordinary day in Rivercrest Mall unfolded into something far greater, an unforgettable lesson in humility and respect. Keanu Reeves walked in without pretense, a man who needed no validation from designer labels or heavy price tags. But Leon, blinded by pride and quick to judge, learned the hard way that true worth isn't stitched into the fabric of what you wear, it's woven into the choices you make and the way you treat others. But the story doesn't truly end there, because realizing you're wrong is only the first step. Real change happens in the quiet moments that follow, in the choices that shape who you become. For Leon, it wasn't just about learning not to judge, it was about understanding that life is richer when you lift others instead of trying to stand above them. A simple purchase, a gentle reprimand, small moments that opened his eyes. A quiet act of generosity, Keanu's gift to a mother and child, proof that kindness ripples outward in ways we may never see. A single humbling experience that led Leon to not just reflect, but to change, to become more compassionate, more aware, more human. And in the end, that's the heart of it all. Kindness costs nothing, yet it holds the power to change everything. A moment of compassion, a single act of understanding, these are the things that can transform a day, a life, or even the world. Now it's your turn to reflect. Have you ever brushed someone off or judged them based on appearances? Have you missed opportunities to show kindness because you were too caught up in your own world? If this story moved you, consider spreading kindness in your own way today. It might be as simple as listening more attentively to a friend, or helping a neighbor carry groceries, or volunteering at a local shelter. Small gestures can create powerful ripples. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel for more real-life stories that inspire growth, empathy, and positive change. Leave a comment below sharing a time you realized you misjudged someone, or a moment you chose kindness over dismissal. We'd love to hear your experiences and lessons learned. Remember, we never truly know who someone is, or what they might be going through, just by a quick glance. Keep your eyes open, your heart soft, and your mind free of prejudice. Who knows? You might be the person who gives someone else the chance to believe in goodness again. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in our next uplifting story. Until then, choose kindness. It might just change a life, maybe even your own.